This is Dr. Michelle Oakley of Yukon Vet, and I'm talking to Jim and Florence on the forum.
Hi, everyone. This is James Patrick, and welcome to the forum. We're very excited to have a friend on that we've been following for a very long time. And Florence, I'm just really excited to have her on again so we could kind of catch up with her. And we're going to talk about some of these crazy stories and wild stories from her hit show. Why don't you introduce our next guest?
Yes, so excited to have her back. One of our most requested guests to have back on the forum. All the comments, all the love. Our first interview with her was amazing, and everybody wanted her back. Her fans want to hear from her again. So we have back on the forum, Courtney Agnes from Yukon Men. How are you, Courtney?
Hi, guys. I'm good.
How's the weather
Great.
there? Everyone always asks me, what's the weather like? Because, and how much of daylight do you have right now?
That is the best question you can ask right now because we're currently this is Alaska. We're going through fifth winter right now. It's actually snowing again.
Wow.
Last week it was up to 70 degrees. It felt like we were walking around in t-shirts, and now we got another snowstorm. So
Wow.
we have lots of daylight, but we're in our fifth or sixth winter. I think that's what they call it.
What at this time of year for you specifically, what are some of your chores? What are some of the things that you look at? Are you trying to get that food for the winter yet, or is it more in the summertime? What are you getting wood? What are some of the things, fishing? What are some of the things that you're doing right now to kind of, because Alaska, it's always a preparation.
Yeah. So we're in a big thaw. Well, we were in a big thaw until this sixth snowstorm came in. So now everything is melting. We're picking up the yards, making sure everything is put away. The ice is going to start going out in the next couple weeks. Like the Tanana Ice Classic up in the pod just tripped up in Tanana. Mm-hmm. So in like the next week or so, the river is going to start going out here, and after the ice goes, that's when we start collecting driftwood for winter.
Mm-hmm. What about hunting? When is your main hunting season?
Right now is the geese are coming back. So traditionally, this is when the guys go out and geese hunt. It's not safe to go on the river right now. So they go up the road and have little blinds put out. And my oldest brother, Terry's been going out and getting geese and ducks.
Wow. Now, I grew up in the mean streets of Napa, and I could tell you horror stories of having to walk to school in 60-degree weather. It was cloudy. I mean, just horrible conditions in Northern California. You told me a story about some of the conditions you had when you were walking to school in Alaska as a kid. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh, gosh. I remember waking up. I used to sleep in between my mom and dad, and at the bottom of the stairs is the thermometer. And when I was 6 years old, I walked downstairs, and my dad was like, "What is the temp, babe?" And I looked at it, and it was like 81 below. And I had to get up, and I had to walk
below.
81 below. Yeah. I think, my grandma was really, really supplemental in our winter gear. We always had lined mucklucks and fur hats, fur mitts, so we were always warm. And so to this day, I don't see that kind of cold temperature anymore, but walking to school in 76 below was no big deal because we lived like half a mile up the road.
Now, when you look at some of the things that you're hearing a lot about global warming, we're here, and for whatever reason, we don't want to get into politics, but talk about the transition that you've had to make because of the changes in the weather, and how drastic has the weather change been? I've heard some say horror stories about how warm it is, how the hunting grounds have changed because they have to go farther because there's not as much snow. What is your kind of mindset in regards to the way that Alaska's changed with the climate?
Like I said, we don't see anything maybe below 50 anymore. So there's not that real deep freeze. And, when it got past 50, 60 below, the animals didn't move. And nowadays the animals move a lot more, and that's kind of why the people were really nomadic back in the day, was because, you know, when it got that cold, the animals weren't moving. I don't know. We just don't see that kind of weather anymore. Now that the fires came in, the property between my dad and I floods a lot because the inability, it burned the ground structure. So the ground structure back there doesn't have the ability to retain water. So we flood out almost every spring. So there's just small changes here and there.
Yeah, Courtney, for those that can't remember or can't recall, talk about how bad those fires were, because those were horrific fires.
Yeah, so we were in it was almost like a perfect storm. There was a fire across the river from us. There was a fire upriver of us and downriver, and those fires kind of just came towards each other and burnt us out behind Tanana here. And it got to the point where my husband said, you have to get the girls out of here. It's not, the air was not safe for them to breathe. My youngest was 1.5 years old. So we got shipped out and we went to Anchorage because the air quality was so bad. I want to say the acreage that was burned behind Tanana was pretty drastic and pretty monumental.
Yeah, that's just so scary to have it. And I think you guys did leave. Didn't you leave for a while?
Yeah, we left for at least 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. We stayed in Anchorage at my cousin Chris moved out of his apartment for us, and so we had a place to stay and we had a ride. So it was kind of neat to show the girls a city life in the summer. They never really had that. We went to the museums. We did a lot of different things. So in that aspect, we turned it into a good outcome, I want to say, because we were able to do different things with the girls, show them a different lifestyle than a lifestyle in the village,
Well, Courtney, I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned your daughters and of course your wonderful husband, your family. And I saw on Instagram that you do these amazing pieces of jewelry. So beautiful. I always see them in your Instagram stories. Is that something that you're currently working on? And is that something that you do with your daughters? Or is that something that you've just always done on your own? And can you tell us a little bit about the pieces that you're working on?
Oh, yeah, I do. I make earrings and I make bracelets. And right now I'm working on a piece that is an Alaskan themed purse. It's a full size purse.
Wow.
Different flowers from Alaska and berries. And my oldest daughter is 12 and she started picking up the beadwork too. So she makes little post earrings. They're super cute and tiny floral little flowers. And so that's been a lot of fun with her. And she's, I have to tell you a funny story. So, I taught her to make these flowers and she cranked out a lot, right? And so I said, honey, I'm going to sell these for you. And she made some money. She made like a couple $100, right? And I was giving her the cash and she came home and she was like, Mom, I don't have any of the money. And I was like, what'd you do? She said she went to the store and bought noodles and Sunny D's. And she spent $50. And I was like,
wow.
Don't you know that's why I don't give you the money so you can save it? And she's the kind of girl that always saved her, like I make her save her money. She's bought herself an iPhone 12, I think. She bought herself AirPods. So she's really good at saving money. But she said, Mom, I don't have anything I want to buy. And I was like, that's fine. So she spent it all at the store.
Wow.
That is funny.
Oh,
now
so
we're trying to get you to do a YouTube page, and I hope you do with all you guys, because those things are, I see some of your posts on Facebook and it's amazing the talent that you guys show and the incredible expertise that you have that you've gained from generation to generation. What are some of your favorite pieces that you've sold and how much did you sell them for?
I want to try to keep my prices fair for people who can afford them. But some pieces are, I want to say I have a set of earrings that it's a chandelier diamond drop earring that I could sell for $125 because the beads I use are super tiny and the work is exquisite and it takes kind of a long time to make like my biggest deal is making the lines look right. And I'm not happy with products if the lines aren't right, you know, because I'm a carpenter, and that's my thing is I'm a finished carpenter, and if my lines don't look right, then I take it all apart and start over again.
I also wanted to ask you, so we're going to get into some of your stories, and I wanted to ask you, is one of your favorite foods still beaver tail, or was that just a thing because you were pregnant?
That was just a thing when I was pregnant. I had some health issues, so I can't eat any rich foods like that anymore.
Now, what does it taste like? Is there anything that we could kind of relate it to, like fish or in between?
No, I would say it's like kind of like pork-ish.
Like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
And I think the ramifications, I remember you were kind of naughty and you went on an area you shouldn't have gone on, and you got the beaver tail, but you were nice enough to cook it for Charlie, I think it was, and all was forgiven.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Yeah, I thought, what is she going in his area, that area for? But she goes, I want beaver tail. So yeah, but Charlie.
You know, my Uncle Cliffy did that to me last winter, and I had a surgery, and he was in my spots up there, and I said, hey, so I went and I tripped his trap with a stick, and I left the stick in there, and he knew it was me, and and I knew it was him, and we giggled about it later, but the norm around here.
Alaska norm. I wanted to also ask you, we have a few questions from our viewers. They wanted to talk about the stress and what you went through that time when you got that huge moose. I think that was the first moose that you ever had gotten. Talk about how you went through that and just kind of the way you were feeling, because that was you guys needed that.
So my dad is pretty much, he's not able to go out and hunt, because he's got to keep things around here square with the dogs and everything like that. So that moose that we got that first time, that I got the first time, was able to feed more than one family. The stress that every moose is pretty stressful, I'll tell you that. That one was equally so, because, you know, I was telling Archie when I was shooting it, right? I was like, it's a mile away. It's a mile away. And I had open sights a gun, and it was pretty stressful. I remember just shaking, and it was really stressful. But, you know, I got it down. It was a pretty neat moment, I think, for me, to share that with Archie and my dad. And now I have to share with you guys. My daughter was able to get her first moose last fall too. So that's been, you know, that area has been really bountiful to us, and we, you know, are grateful for everything that we take and we get, and you know, give our hearts back to the land in the area. You know, that's kind of our Indigenous way.
Sure, that's for sure. When someone says the Athabascan lifestyle, explain to people what that means to you.
I think the best way I can put it is, you know, the Western view is this land belongs to us. And that's not the Indigenous lifestyle. It's, you know, we belong, you know, this is, you know, for me, I have an inherent tie to the land that we live in here. That means, you know, we're the guardians. We have to take care of it and live in harmony with the animals that live around us. And that's kind of the best way I can put it, I guess.
It's not like you guys are out hunting animals and then taking selfies on Instagram saying, look what I killed, and then leaving it there. You guys use every part of the animal. You guys respect the animal. You're thankful for getting the food and the things for clothing. And I think that's kind of the difference in the Western. It always bothers me. And if you're a hunter, you know, do whatever. But personally, for me, I just couldn't do a trophy hunt or use an animal in that way, because you know, like you said, we're lucky to be on this land. We're blessed to be able to share it. and you need to respect it. And I think that respect is really being lost in a lot of cultures. So I think I'm thankful for your culture and for other Indian cultures and other people and responsible hunters as well, that you do respect the land and the animals in it. So I really appreciate that lifestyle.
Yeah, I think my brother-in-law said it best. You can't eat corn soup,
Yeah. Well, you can, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and I have a part Indian blood in me, so it's really my niece actually I think won Indian of the Month or something, some sort of award. So I really appreciate your guys' stance on that. When was the most dangerous? When was a time on the show that you really felt afraid? What was the most dangerous period on the show?
Okay, that bear hunt was, I think, the most intense moment I've ever had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you explain the hunt?
Right, it was kind of drizzling, right? And all I could hear was the rain on my rain jacket. And so we're stalking through this forest, and I'm in this creek. And so when you're moving in the woods, you have to not be heard. Mm. And I kept hearing something, and I knew something was like I could feel it. Something was nearby. Something was gonna go down, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm focusing on my steps, and I'm like, I've got all my senses alert, and I'm freaking out. Took a step. You dip your toe in and then step. So every single move is like that, like just strained. And I heard Ryan behind me, Court, and I looked back. And that bear was right there. It didn't see us, and it was 20 feet from him. And By the time I had my gun up, it popped behind a clump of trees, and then it popped its head back up, and I shot it in the neck. Mm-hmm. It was like anywhere from 10 to 20 feet from him, and it didn't even know we were there.
God, so that must have been scary.
Wow, that must have been.
I had to sit there for like 10 minutes. Like waiting for it to move or anything. And when it finally didn't move, I looked at Ryan and I was like freaking out. I started shaking like a leaf on just crazy. And I looked at Ryan and asked, can I have a hug?
Yep. Ryan talked about that at our podcast with Ryan. He said that you just and they're so stealth. And bears are such amazing creatures, and they're so powerful. But to see how limber they are, and to see how quiet they could be, and how careful you have to be, because you'd think an animal that big, you would see them everywhere. You'd see them right next to you, and because people will say, "How in the heck could they not see that bear?" And that's how. I mean, it's amazing when you go through the brush, like you said, even the way you put your feet, even the way you step makes a difference to hide yourself from the bear.
Yeah. And it was pretty amazing that it did not see, hear, smell. They have all the senses, right? Mm-hmm. See, hear, or smell us. And I had that, I guess it was a mama bear like instinct that I knew something was going to happen or go down or something. And then he spotted it first, and he was almost lunch for it.
Yeah.
If I didn't get a good shot off.
Yeah. Did it drop quick, or did it run around? What happened?
It dropped on the spot.
Oh, wow. Perfect shot then.
Yeah.
Now, when you hunted and you got the animals, did Ryan or any of the cameramen help, or did you just have to do that by yourself? Or obviously you're not going to carry 1,000 pounds of meat or whatever at one thing, but did you have to take trips? How did you get the meat out?
So the camera guys always made sure that they had what they needed. And then they always jumped in and helped. They were part of the crew. They were part of the family. They lived with us at camp. They ate with us. They helped do dishes. Casey was always like, I will eat all the seconds and I will do all the dishes.
Oh.
So when we were filming, they made sure to get all the shots that they needed, and they'd jump right in and help us, and we'd teach them how to skin and quarter and pack stuff out. Because the most important thing is when you're hunting is keeping the meat clean.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And so it was a lot of fun to hang out with them.
Ryan said one of the best foods he ever tasted was salmon there. He said it's just unlike any other place.
Yeah, we live in a very unique spot. I think we have the best fish in the entire world.
Yeah, that was one thing my dad always wanted to do. He said, that's the place to fish. If you're going to fish, they have the best fish in the world. So amazing. I wanted to ask you too, does anyone that you know in your family fly a plane? Because I know that's another big mode of transportation there. Very dangerous place to fly, because I've taken flying lessons. Is there anyone that you're close to that flies a plane there?
My aunt's husband, my uncle, has a plane, and he, when Archie and his brother race the Iron Dog, he flies for them. And he's a pretty crazy pilot, like, and he knows how to fly. And Archie said one time they were driving along and they're racing, right? And they look up, they stop because Arnold has some trouble or something. And they look up and the wind was howling so bad that he said, your Uncle Dave was just sitting there. Like, the plane was flying, but he was just sitting there watching us in one spot.
Wow.
Now, I wanted to ask you, and if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to answer this. Timothy Treadwell was a real, I don't know if you remember him. He was the grizzly bear man. He would go live among the grizzly bears, and he eventually got eaten by a grizzly bear, him and his girlfriend. Did you remember him, and what did you think about him?
Yes, I do remember him. Archie watched, my husband watched the documentary, the last one that put out.
Yep.
That was a tragic accident. You know, the bears in our culture have a very powerful spirit. You know, it's one that you don't mess with or play around with. You know, the respect that our people have for them is pretty awesome and ginormous. So when you're out in the woods, you know, you have to be extra careful and cross your T's and dot your I's, because Archie's woken up. You know, his friend is holding the door closed because a bear is trying to push in the cabin door.
Wow.
And he had to wake up and go help his friend keep the door closed so the bear wouldn't come in. I've been woken up by my best friend's dad screaming at us to stay in the cabin because the bear was coming in to get us, and he took his morning walk with his gun. And the bear he came back, and the bear was trying to get us in the cabin, and he had to shoot its jaw off to get it out of there.
Jeez. So do you think he went overboard? Because a lot of people that I had talked to in Alaska just felt that he meant well. He was kind of an eclectic guy. He was an ex-drug user, and he said that literally the bears changed his life, and that was kind of his lifeblood to not do drugs. But what did you think about him personally? Did you think he kind of went overboard? He kind of just was his intentions okay? Or do you just think, gosh, why is he here?
I don't know. I'm the kind of person that I don't really judge other people by their lifestyle, or what they do, whatever floats your boat. But I, you know, like I said, the bears have a very powerful spirit, and they are an entity not to mess with, you know.
I saw a video that I found it on, I believe it was Reddit or somewhere, and it was of a bear, and these people were in their front lawn, and I think it's up north, not in Alaska, but up northern California. And this bear was chasing this huge elk, and it took it down in nothing. I mean, and it ran full speed and caught the elk, which are fast, but it caught the elk and just, I mean, it was amazing. I'd never seen anything like that. That was just a powerful machine. And like I said, boy, if you don't, because Timothy Treadwell, I don't know if you watched it, Archie probably could talk about it. I mean, he was touching their noses, and I'm just like, oh my God, what's he doing? And
that's not something I would do or pursue.
Yeah, talking, I love you. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna get eaten. He did, sadly. He seemed like an okay guy. He was on David Letterman. I mean, he really made the rounds for Today's Show, David Letterman. He was on a lot of different shows, so it's very interesting. But I always wanted to ask you about that. Now, what's going on with your guys' life? What are you guys doing right now? And what are you guys looking for in the future? Is this it looks like you're going to stay in Tanana forever. You're kind of a Tanana girl. It's hard to get, I think, Kate, Stan's daughter told me that you think you want to leave, but you really, when you do, you want to come back. So are you in Tanana? Are you and your family for life?
My husband and I will always live here. There's going to be a spell where our girls will need to have school elsewhere, I think, to better prepare them for the world. But we're thinking of Mount Edgecombe, which is a really good boarding school down in Sitka. You know, all of my best friends went to high school there. We're weighing the options. Not sure about that, but Archie and I will always live here.
Your kids, I love, and if you go on Courtney Jo Agnes on Instagram, Courtney puts out a lot of photos, a lot of things. She talks about the lifestyle, talks about some of the dangers of the lifestyle and some of the troubling things that are happening, just kind of an all-around thing. And her kids are adorable, and they're just really full of life. How are they doing, and is everything going okay for them? I know they're growing up so fast. They're so rambunctious. Who reminds you more of you than in all of them?
Cuppy's like my best friend. She's like my sidekick. We like to do stuff outside all the time. Whenever I go out to drive dogs, she's like right behind me. She's grown a lot this year. She's 12 now. She actually double sledded, meaning there was 2 sleds hooked up with me with 17 dogs this winter. She's a really strong girl, and she's almost as tall as me. So she's a firecracker. She's a lot of fun. And Carrie's more of a laid back girly girl. She likes to stay home, watch her iPad or her movies, or, you know, relaxed type girl. But, you know, springtime happens, she's out running around playing with her friends, and she actually just ran into the house to change her pants because she fell in a mud puddle. She's 7, and she's the smart aleck of the two. She's the quick wits of the two.
Boy, she's adorable. She's just really a cutie.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but she's the definite smartass of the two.
Oh, well, she probably could get away with it, batting those eyes.
Yes,
she could
so adorable.
She has my dad and Archie's number down pat. She can get anything out of them.
Oh, that must be hard for the mom. I remember with my friend's kids were that way. The dad, they had all daughters, and the dad just would do anything, and the mom's going, "Oh my God." He go, "Look, they're so sweet," and she's, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?" So yeah, they got the dad.
I'm always the bad guy.
We had Dr. Michelle Oakley on, and she's from Yukon Vet and Nat Geo Wild's Yukon Vet. And she, I thought of you when we talked about her because she actually went to the Australian fires. I think it's the biggest fire ever in the world. And she, just the amazing things that she saw with animals. And she had told us over 1 billion animals may have been killed in that fire, which is just mind-boggling. Do you see a difference after the fires over there with the animal population? Is it harder to find game? Do you see less birds or less animals that are foraging around?
No. After the fires, the year after is the major regrowth. Different, you know, it's a good feeding ground because it's just amazing. Like, you know, that there's seeds that actually come out when the fire comes through our system. So it's I haven't noticed much of a difference between with the animals after the fires.
Wow. I have to say, after we talked to Dr. Oakley and hearing all the wonderful work she had done, you know, being the Yukon vet on television is not only who she is, she actually does a lot of good things behind the scenes and works with animals, rescues them, brings them back to life. So, you know, I think what you guys have to go through when things like that happen, I think it must be so heartbreaking at times. But at the same time, I think that, again, you know, if you love animals the way we all do, I know James feels the same way. It's just, you want to do whatever you can to preserve them and to help them. So I have to say, I can only imagine some of the things that, you know, that you've all seen. But I do have to ask you one more question before we let you go. This is probably the number one question that we get, because we do get emails and questions from your fans. They want to know, is there going to be more reality TV in the future for you? Will you be back on TV? People really want to see you again. Do you think that's a possibility?
That's hilarious. I just got an email to be on Naked and Afraid.
Really?
Are you kidding me? Don't do that
What?
show. That show's no, Courtney. Did you really?
I did, and I was like, there is no way in heck.
Oh
Nobody
my!
wants to do that.
You
my
should get.
God.
You know what would be great, and I think Les Stroud. Do you know who Les Stroud is? The Survivor man.
Yeah, yes.
I think what would be
He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's the only guy that's real, to be honest with you. I don't want to get into Naked and Afraid if you're a fan of the show, but give me a break. Anyway,
No.
I know too much about that show, and I'm sorry. It's a little ridiculous. But anyway, I would love if he spent a week out there because he's doing a new show. I don't know if you watched it. It's called Live Harvest. He literally goes out, he takes and different things out of the environment, and then he gives it to one of his friends who's a chef, and the chef makes all these amazing foods from this stuff that he's done, and it's incredible. I would love for him to do a show like that where you guys, because Alaska has so much great things. A lot of survivalists say there's a lot of great things to eat in Alaska, like different types of shrubbery, grass. There's different types of things. I think that would be a cool show. We got to hook you up with him.
Yes.
You guys did give me the idea to start the YouTube channel. I've got a couple funny videos of my daughter teaching my dad to dance. So I think that's the most you'd see me on any kind of shows or anything.
Oh, well, you know what? That's
great, though. Things
have changed. And I think if you look at a lot of, do you remember Jenny Jones, Court, who did, she had the Jenny Jones talk show years ago, blonde lady.
Don't think so.
Well, she had a huge talk show. She's a goofy lady. She now does cooking show on YouTube, hundreds of thousands of followers. It's amazing. Her show is huge. So I think what would be really cool for you again is to do a show on YouTube, show kind of what your life is, because like I said, I'm from Northern California. When it's 60 degrees, I'm cold. So when you talk about minus 60 degrees, I'm going, what in the world? I don't even like opening the freezer. So I don't get all these 70 degree below. That is insane. I think a lot of people would love to see your lifestyle and also would love to see your crafts, because there's a huge boom with craft making, especially with a lot of the websites that are being used. I know my niece does crocheting, and I think that would be amazing, especially with the Athabascan people, how talented they are with jewelry and with clothing and with different types of shoes. Yes. I mean, it'd be amazing. Got to do it, Courtney.
Okay, I think you guys inspired me.
Good.
Yay.
And we want to give a shout out to Stan and Ryan, because Stan's movie hopefully will be coming soon. I know Ryan's editing it. And Stan Zuray, a good friend of the show, we're going to try to get him on too, because we've never forgotten these guys. They're such great people. And I hope to give later in the year an update and have Courtney tell us how her site's exploded. She's making $1 million a year, and she wants us to make she wants to give us 10 grand. So that's what I'm hoping will happen for giving her the idea. I hope that happens, Court.
Okay.
Well, Courtney, we adore you, and we're so happy that you're on. I'll let Florence get you out, but before we go, why don't you just give a last word of how things are going and what the appreciation I'm sure you have to all the fans who never forgot you.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from the show is, the fans, the people who watch and who are on my Instagram and the Facebook page and every day. That's why I keep putting content out. And I love you guys, appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for having me again.
Well, Courtney, thank you so much for being back on the forum. I mean, you have so many fans out there who absolutely adore you. And again, you were one of the most requested guests to have back on the forum. So again, we really appreciate you doing this. We will be putting this podcast out on Monday. So again, your fans are waiting. So thank you again, Courtney. We really appreciate it.
And start your TikTok. Yeah, and we love you too. And start your TikTok site, because we'll follow you. Really gaining hold on there. So it's really exciting. We've been growing a lot, and we're just looking towards the future. And I think that you could really be popular online, because a lot of people miss the show. I think a lot of the shows on now are just I don't want to say anything negative, but they're just so they're predictable. I've seen some things I've seen some things from Alaska show, little young women running up and chasing bears. It's insane. Some of the things that go on. And I think your show was so real and it was so raw. I'm not naive. Of course, they're going to stage a few things here and there to make it a little more exciting. But for the most part, it gave us a chance to see your lifestyle and appreciate the the respect you have for the land, and I miss it. I watch it every week. So I see you all the time, because I just can't get enough of it, and I'm so glad that it's still on in different networks. And I hope that I wish you got the residuals from it, but that's another story. But I just hope that you know how much people appreciate you and your spirit and your family. And tell Archie we said hey, and tell your dad, go Raiders.
Yes, Raiders for life, he said.
That's right, Raiders for life. So you take care, Courtney, and thank you all for listening to us. We're so appreciative of you. Take care. Have a great week.